Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for watching my video. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 different exercises that help heal your Achilles tendon, your soleus, and even your gastrocnemius or your calf muscle, particularly your Achilles tendon. That's why I do these exercises, to heal my Achilles tendon, because I have like tendonitis, or like a really intense soreness in my Achilles tendon, and it makes it really difficult for me to run, particularly at the beginning of my runs. I wake up every morning and I run about 5 miles, and that first mile is difficult. I have to go slow in order to get that blood flowing, in order to numb the pain from my Achilles tendon, but eventually it goes away, and I'm trying to figure out a way to completely fix that situation. So I came up with this list. I did some research, and I have this list of some exercises that strengthen the muscles. Usually when there's pain in a muscle or a muscle group, it's because something is weaker. You have like a weak link. So by strengthening that weak link, you can get rid of the pain, and this can happen very quickly or over time. Like a lot of times when I get injured, I'll kind of take a little bit of time off, like a day or two, and I'll dedicate that time. Most people say rest, but for me, I'll dedicate that time to weight training. But of course, I won't be going crazy with the weight and how much weight I use, but more so about the repetitions and getting those muscles to fire. Because a lot of times the muscles just forget how to fire, and when they're not firing, they're not working with the team. And of course, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and that weakest link is what gets hurt first, or what gives you the most problems. So that's what this video is about. It's about healing and fixing your Achilles tendon, or your secondarily your soleus, and the tertiary muscle that we could focus on here is the calf muscle, or the gastrocnemius, but mostly it's about the Achilles tendon. So let's get started. I hope you find this helpful. Okay, so I'm sitting on the bench. As you can see, I'm off the bench. Now I'm sitting on the bench. If you look at my feet, I have my feet flat on the ground, and I'm getting as much stretch in my Achilles tendon as possible without my heel leaving the ground. And what I'm doing here is a seated calf raise. Seated calf raise, where I basically lift my heel off the ground as high as I can get it, and I put my heel back, all the way back on the ground. So you want to have a slight stretch here in this position, and you want to go all the way back up. And you can use weight with these. Like here, I have a brick. I can put this brick on my knee, and I can go up, and I can go down, up, and down. But something that a lot of people don't do, particularly myself, before I learned it, is you have to scale your exercises. Sometimes if you can't go through a full range of motion, then you should be doing a lesser version of that exercise and master that version first until you've completely strengthened that range of motion first, and then you go to the next level. Now, when you skip levels and do something before it's time to do it, and you don't build a foundation properly, it leads to injuries on down the line, and also slower progress on down the line. You may make progress in the beginning, but in the long run, it's gonna come back and get you and slow down your progress, because you didn't have that foundation under you. So you don't want to skip steps. You want to start from the absolute bottom. And for me, this may seem like nothing. But it is something, because this is actually a little bit difficult for me in regards to being able to do a full range of motion. And even doing this full range of motion here, it has a slight burn on it. And what I do for these, I do like over 100 reps, or I time myself. I do about 5 minutes straight of these, which equals up to about 120 repetitions over 5 minutes. And I think that's worthy, because with the soleus, it's not like your upper body muscles or even like your thigh muscles. They need lots of repetitions in order to be stimulated to grow or to adapt. So with these, 100 repetitions or even hundreds of repetitions is necessary. And also, again, I'm at the lowest level, so I really need those repetitions in order to stimulate the muscle and train the muscle into firing. Because this muscle, untrained muscle, it can just forget how to fire. And by just simply doing this simple exercise, you're teaching the muscle how to fire and how to work itself. And it helps a whole lot, because like when you're doing things like running that involves your soleus to a pretty heavy degree, and your soleus is not firing, then it can retard your development in your running. So, sometimes you gotta train those muscles. The muscles sometimes they don't just train themselves or just recover themselves and make progress on their own. You have to pay special attention to them, especially as you age. When you're younger, you can get away with all those little muscles, but the older you get, you earn every day you earn everything that you get when you get older. And you can't skip workouts. If you skip workouts, you really fall behind. A younger person can skip those workouts and still get the results. But even if you're young, you're not getting away with it. But when you're old, you have to really stay on top of it. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's even more so when you're an older person. So this is the first exercise that I'll talk about for healing your Achilles tendon and making it strong for running. Exercise is the standing. This is a quarter squat, the bottom quarter squat. And with this exercise, you want to get your feet pretty close to the ground, as flat as you can get them. If you look at my feet, my heels are off the ground. That's okay if your flexibility isn't good enough, but if you can, work on the flexibility and get your feet close to being flat on the ground. With these, you want to squat about a quarter. We call them quarter squats. So basically with these, you want to go up and down, and your feet, they need to be flat on the ground. And with these, they activate your soleus, because your soleus works when your knees are in the bent position. Now, when you're standing straight up, it doesn't really activate your soleus. It more so activates your calf muscle, because that's what the calf muscle is for. It's for pushing power. But the soleus is more for balance when you're in those awkward angles, awkward positions. And the soleus gets activated more so when you're like leaning back versus when you're forward, when your calf does more pushing like this. So with this exercise, you basically just want to go up and down. So you're activating your soleus, and if you have weight, you can add weight to these. You can start off with just body weight, and then maybe do pyramid sets, add more and more weight set by set. That could work. Or you can do it my way. My way is about 5 minutes, non-stop. But that may be a bit much for some, and you may need to do 1 or 2 minutes first and build your way up before doing 5 minutes. So this really activates the soleus. And another thing, you want to try to, you may want to bend over so that your feet are flat on the ground. And because if you straighten your back too much, then it pushes your knees out like this, and it kind of ruins the movement. So like this, and just go up and down, really activate those soleuses and get them working, and get them remembering how to fire. Because that's one of the biggest things. Muscles forget how to fire, because if you look at this position, we rarely ever are in this position, and the body, the legs, those muscles, they're activated in this position, can easily forget how to work. And when you're doing something like running, you run from up here. You don't run down here. So when you run and you need these muscles to work, they don't work because you don't train them enough in the places where they're really activated, like in a movement like this. So again, this is the quarter squat, and these are really some burners on the quadriceps. So you want to build up with these. So my third and last exercise that I'm going to show you to help heal your Achilles tendon is the sissy squat, but it's a scaled version of the sissy squat, because I think the sissy squat, the average person is going to find it quite difficult to do. But even if you're a more advanced athlete, even if you can do these well, again, it's probably really important that you scale and you master these and you get to the point where you can do these in your sleep. And it'll build your foundation, and you'll get a lot of healing done, and you'll get that memory back in those nerves and back in those muscles, so that it functions the way that it's supposed to function. Remember, the muscles forget how to function. So I'll show you. So you look here, I have a bench here, and a sissy squat looks something like this, where you do this. It's a version of the sissy squat, something like this. So a sissy squat looks something like that, and even a sissy squat will benefit you in working on your soleus, because remember, your soleus gets activated when your knees are bent and when you lean back, and that happens when you run. Even though when you run you're up like this, but you're still keeping yourself from leaning back, so your soleus gets activated. So the scaled version looks something like this, and I'm going to use the bench. So the scaled version is just basically go down and go up, go down and go up, go down and go up, go down and go up. Now with that version, this is my dominant leg, so it's doing a lot of the work, and I don't want my dominant leg to overpower my weaker leg too much. So what you can do is a one-legged version, which will probably be more difficult, and you'll probably have to scale that version also. And a good way to scale that version is maybe you'll need a higher bench to catch yourself, but a one-legged version will look something like this. So let's say I want to do a left-legged version. Then I would go down and up, go down and up, go down and up, go down and up. And something that you could do, you could put maybe a basketball or something under your foot when you're doing this. You put your foot on the basketball or something to keep your balance, and you go down, then you go up. And you also want to do these slow, so that you want to do them slow and in really good form, so that the muscle is getting trained properly and it's getting strengthened properly. It's all about strengthening and getting these muscles to fire that are dormant, that you don't really use, because the movements in your everyday life, you rarely ever have to use them. And even when you like go lift weights or do exercises and stuff, it's rare that you do stuff like this. This is pretty rare. It's rare that you do this stuff, unless you're playing a sport or something. And even with that, you're playing a sport, it's unplanned, and if you're not in shape, you're not prepared for something, that could be the recipe for injury. So something like this will come in handy for that, to prepare you for sport. And in this case, we're building the soleus, and we're preventing the injury of the soleus. And my motivation for making this video was to help runners. I myself am a runner, and I researched this stuff myself, and I came up with this list of exercises myself, and in a way to help me run. So something that you could do with these exercises that I've just shown you, before you go and do your run, you can warm up with these exercises just to get those muscles working and remembering how to fire, and it'll help get rid of the soreness from your muscles. Like I've had like sore Achilles tendon, and doing these, it helps get rid of the soreness. So it can help get rid of the pain. Right away, and it can also help get rid of the pain over time as the muscles heal and get stronger. But it can help right away by getting the blood flowing right into those muscles so that they're ready to go directly to work. So those are my 3 exercises for healing the Achilles tendon and the soleus. And if you're trying to heal your calf muscle, this would likely help too, because the calf muscle and the soleus typically work together. They have kind of different functions, but they work together. They work as a team, and their functions merge pretty well with one another, and they kind of do the same things, but they do very slight variations of the same things. And I kind of researched that and looked it up and came up with these ideas in the video. So thank you for watching. Show some love if you've learned something from this. If this benefited you in any way, hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you. Welcome.